Have you ever recorded a guitar track and then thought, oh crap, I should have done the drums first? If you have, stick around, I've got a solution for you. Hey everybody, this is Chords of Orion and I'm Bill Vencil, and it's all about ambient guitar here. And yes, I am very spontaneous and improvisatory when it comes to recording guitar tracks. And I can't tell you how many times I've recorded a track down here and then thought, man, I wish I would have thought about the drums. Well, one of the great things about several pieces of modern recording software is that there are options for adding drums in later and synchronizing them to the tracks you've already recorded. We're going to look at the capability in Logic Pro. So I've got the mix of the piece you heard at the beginning of the video pulled up, and let's just listen to a little bit of it, and then I'll talk about what's going on. Right, yeah. So it's really just 3 tracks. I've got a track of guitar with my old 1964 Fender Mustang, and a track of bass, and a track of drums. All right, let's look at the guitar part first, right? Because that's what I recorded first. I used my old Fender Mustang. Here's what it sounds like, a little bit of it. As you can hear, there's a heavy rhythmic delay going on. That's actually burned into the recording. I used the Strymon El Capistan and I set it to a dotted quarter, maybe even a dotted half setting. So it's got that kind of dotted eighth kind of galloping feel to it. One of the nice things about that is, even though I wasn't thinking about drums when I played the piece or played the track, I was able to keep a pretty steady tempo even without a metronome because of that rhythmic delay repeat going on. In essence, that was kind of like my metronome, right? So after I had recorded it and thought about the drums, I was able to use Logic's smart tempo capability to analyze my tempo so that I could synchronize the drums later. Here's how it works. First up, you'll see at the top of the screen an area where you can set the project tempo. Normally, the tempo setting is set to keep, and that means if I set 100, which you see on the screen there, it keeps it at a steady 100 BPM all the way through the song. But I set it to adapt, and then I could have Logic Pro analyze my audio, and here it is down here at the bottom, and actually have it analyze the tempo. So you can see all the bars here that it's analyzed, all the beats in between the bars, and then back up at the top of the mix lane area, you can see a tempo automation lane with the tempo markings. So I'm starting at 102, going down to 100.2, 99.7, kind of all the way through there. You can see that I'm kind of varying between, I don't know, about 99, 98, 99, and 100, 102. So again, not too bad. I was able to keep pretty steady, but even better, Logic was able to determine that tempo. And now, when I create the drum track, you'll hear that it just keeps up with that tempo. Follow the drums. Here we go. There we go. We switched to 99. And I think we're going to maybe go up to, I don't know, we'll see what we do here. 100 maybe? There we go, 100. Okay, so you can see that Logic is just playing right along with my guitar part. So when we add that guitar in then, again, you can hear that the drums are just going to keep up. Yeah, that's pretty cool, isn't it? It's not just the drums that follow the tempo. It's really anything in Logic Pro. Any instrument that is tempo driven will follow along. So that includes MIDI tracks, and that's where the bass comes in. So here's my bass part. Okay, so that's pretty cool. That green track there is all MIDI information. So the bass track is just following along. It's actually the Logic Pro strings. That's kind of interesting. And I'm using the Step Effects plugin to chop up the kind of the long, mellow string sound into that rhythmic sound that you're hearing. While we're talking about effects, let's just skip back to that guitar part for just a sec. There's really not too much going on besides the guitar itself, other than a Valhalla delay plugin, and I added in a 10 millisecond delay and made it as wide as I could to add a doubling effect to the guitar part. It's pretty subtle, but it just kind of widens out the guitar a little bit. Now we need to get back to the drums and see what I did there. So the way Logic Pro drums work, it's actually a drummer instrument, and you can add in drummer regions. You can choose a drummer, and I've chosen a drummer named Kyle. Yes, they even name their drummers. And I've chosen a basic beat called New Kicks. And you can adjust things from there, but this kind of gets you where, kind of in a basic kind of range. Now, I'm already synchronizing the tempo, but one of the nice things that can be done in addition to that is to actually have the kick and the snare follow whatever you're playing. And so that is done down here. There's a checkbox called Follow, and you can select the audio track that you want the drummer to follow. So I'm following the Fender Mustang, and I'm doing that all the way through. You see a picture of a drum kit here. I've turned off the cymbals, and I'm only using the snare, the toms, and the kick. And I actually do that quite a bit with the Logic drummer track. It turns out a lot of the stuff that I do, I want just kind of that pulsing rhythm. I don't necessarily want a lot of crash cymbals. I'm not always doing more rock-related things, but that's just me. And, I think it sounds pretty good that way. It's kind of like reminiscent of the old 80s style Peter Gabriel stuff, which I'm influenced by. Right. Okay, the other thing I got going on with the drums, besides some EQ and compression, is I've actually put an Overdrive plugin on the drums. That's one of my, quote, secrets I almost always do to my drums is I add in the Overdrive plugin from Logic, and I crank the drive a little bit for a little saturation. Let me turn this off here, and then I'll turn it on. Now, you do have to be careful because the volume's going to get louder, and our ears tend to think that louder is better, right? But just listen to what the saturation is doing to the tone. Yeah, I really like that a lot. Whoop, stop it. I really like that a lot. In particular with the kick drum, it gives it this like spongy, mashing kind of, thud that I really like a lot. So I do use saturation, distortion quite a bit in my drum tracks. So with all this great capability, you should just record your guitar parts and not even think about drums till afterwards, right? I don't think so. I think you're still gonna get better results if you think about your drums, your bass, your other rhythm instruments, and kind of put them together, at least rough them in together so that you can play your guitar tracks against them. You're definitely gonna end up with a tighter mix that way, and you'll probably have more flexibility when you do the final mix down if you do need to adjust what's going on with the drums or the bass or some of the other rhythm instruments. All right, I got a link to the full performance piece of this song. I've also got a playlist of other recording techniques, and I'll see all of you on the next video.